Welcome to the Two-Man Advantage. I'm here with Darrin and Carlo. Talked yesterday about Michigan football. So we're going to talk today about Detroit Lions football, like we promised yesterday. So Darrin and Carlo, they won. Wait, hold on a minute.
Yeah, is my mic on? Great.
Yeah, sorry. That's
so
we can edit that out, but we probably won't. So enjoy this.
You'll probably leave it in. No, I thought that they played great. From the get go, it was more like the New Orleans Saints and the Detroit Lions. Just the different formations they had coming in on every play.
They're going to be dangerous.
Well, they have the weapons to be dangerous, and their defense held together pretty good. They do have some injury concerns now, especially on that offensive line, and also Bill Bentley, or I should say Bill, who always gets
Champ Bailey.
Yeah, no, he's too old, man. Come on, they have to do better than that.
Come on, he's seasoned.
Yeah, he's seasoned. He's over seasoned. So, but if anything, So they look great. Injury concerns, it's gonna be
that right tackle position really concerns me with Corey Hilliard getting hurt. and
but
Waddle getting hurt.
But Waddle will be back. He might miss this week, but he'll be back by in a couple weeks. So I'm not really concerned there. They just need someone to hold down the fort, and with all the weapons that Matthew Stafford has, if you give him half the time that you've been giving him, you'll find someone.
Okay, so let's start right there. Let's start with Matthew Stafford. And I think he did a great job moving up in the pocket, making some people miss. I think in that strong arm throw, he's very efficient. He's making right decisions. Is this something we're going to see going forward? Is this encouraging for Matthew Stafford, obviously? What can we expect?
Oh, you can expect him to be even more of a dangerous threat because he has all these weapons around him. You saw him. He wasn't really relying on Reggie Bush and a lot of the screen passes. He had a very, mapped out game plan that him and Joe Lombardi have been working on in training camp. And you can see that when he doesn't have a play, he'll throw it out of bounds. There was a couple times.
Live to see another down.
And I know a lot of people don't like that, and there's still issues, and I know Lions fan will still bitch and complain about certain issues that kind of resemble same old Lions, like when they're in the red zone and they can't finish off a drive when they're on the 20 or 10-yard line. They try to pass in the end zone 3 times, and it's not there. So maybe better play selection there. Give the running back a little more chance to let Joik run it in from the 10 or 15, But other than that, there's a really good things like Matthew Stafford. Like you said, he was great, decision making, and also on the run, and where he had to make a quick decision, and he eluded some tackles, which is very un-Matthew Stafford like. Usually he'll just run around until he gets caught or he'll throw a pick. But no, he made a man miss and found Calvin down the field for the opening touchdown, which is great.
So now that we hit on that one positive, let's move to the negative. Is there something bad that you've seen that this team is going to have to change to beat some teams not named the New York Giants going forward?
The penalties, plain and simple.
First half, there was eight. I believe.
8.
Second half, 0.
First half, the Lions had more penalty yards than the Giants had in total yards. Yeah, if you have a boo sound effect, I would put that in now. Exactly. But it was something with Caldwell, and he must have said something at halftime because they had no penalties the rest of the second half, which it was good to see. And a lot of those penalties were dumb penalties, like the one running into the kicker. Why are you even? Getting the ball back.
I would agree with that in a certain extent. I think that he very much got pushed into the kicker.
Yeah, you can use that excuse.
I just think you were there in that situation. You should know better the situation. You're getting the ball back.
Exactly.
You don't put yourself in that spot, right? Like if you can't get there, you're not getting there. Give yourself the opportunity to get pushed into the kicker.
And I understand, earlier in the first half, they had a blocked punt or deflected where they got great field position and they were trying to go after it again. I like the enthusiasm. I like them going after the punter, but you got to be smart. When you're getting the ball back and you know it's like, I'm just going to back off a little bit. But if you're behind, go out, full out. Do whatever you have to do to get the ball. But when you're up, 10, 14 points, just back off a little bit.
One negative that I can run with here is, I guess it's a negative and a positive. But the negative would be the running game in the first 3 quarters. I don't know if that was the offensive line's deal. I don't know if it was New York Giants' defensive line being beasts. I don't know if it was the running backs deal. I'm not sure where it's at, but they seem to get it together in the fourth quarter and do something we haven't seen a Lions team do in a long time. Is when you had the lead, they put the foot to the throat and they snuffed them out. They run the ball.
Yeah.
They put it in the end zone. It was a game over. This is over. Everybody head for the exits.
Absolutely, and you said it right. They closed out team. They closed out the Giants, and that's what you have to do when you have a lead in the NFL.
They did exactly what everybody expected,
Yes.
and that's kicked out of the Giants.
Well, yeah, the Giants are a mess themselves. They have a new offensive coordinator, and they have a new West Coast offense that Eli is trying to understand. And if you saw him on Monday night, he looked confused. He looked like he didn't know where he was at.
I
half
cannot
the time.
confirm or deny if I was at the Lions game, but I remember Monday night against the Bears. Nothing will ever be Monday night against the Bears.
Because that was the first one in a long
was,
time.
It's loud and crazy in there, and I think he had a hard time hearing. But it wasn't where I thought it was going to be, if that makes any sense. So if people were thinking it was a mad, wild house, it was loud.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't exciting.
It wasn't crazy.
It was exciting,
and
but
maybe
it
because
wasn't
it was the Giants, maybe it was Packers on Monday night or the Bears.
It
or
was the Bears. Yeah.
But
different teams bring out different,
But I think the crowd did have a very big effect on that defensive line and getting the Eli and him not hearing at the line and all that neat stuff. So, which is obviously expected.
But one thing that you'll say, and I'll talk about the defense a little bit. The front four really produce, and it wasn't your Sues or Fairleys or, Tullocks. It was like the guys that came in, like I saw George Johnson.
Yep.
This guy he's been a journeyman in the
He's
league.
been fighting for his job since day one.
So it's good to see he comes in, gets a sack, gets the crowd really riled up, and he's not the only one. You got Devin Taylor out there. You have
Ziggy.
a lot, and Ziggy is supposed to be, one of the top sack. He was the top sack getters for rookies last year, so they're expecting a big season out of him. So if they continue this pressure, and hopefully they can do something with their secondary, because that's going to be an issue for them the entire year.
And I want to we're going to make a comment later on in the show. I want to hit on something. We got a comment on YouTube on one of our videos from a follower or somebody that was just likes to listen to our line stuff. And they said that it's the same old nonsense that we're just hitting on the secondary. I don't know if you've seen that, Darrin. Did you happen to see that?
I don't think so. I think I must have missed that one.
Cam Newton is going to be healthy.
Did you hear his press conference, by the way?
Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
So before we go to our predictions on what's going to happen in week 2, let's hit on this Donkey Kong thing. There was some talk on some local sports radio today that it was a racial comment. I just think Cam Newton needs to shut up. Really,
isn't Cam Newton black too?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. They're talking about the double standard thing. Is that should it be allowed? And if it was a white guy that said it, would it be completely different? I don't really want to walk that line right now. I think that maybe Cam Newton just needs to stop talking. I don't understand why you'd call out Ndamukong Suh, but I think that obviously the Lions have a chance for the first time in a long time to go on the road and make some noise against, a talent like Cam Newton.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're talking about Cam Newton, here's a guy comes in missing week 1 due to coaches. The coach Ron Rivera thinks he would be better to rest against Cleveland so he can be ready for Detroit. But you got to understand, Cam Newton has rib issues, and probably wasn't the best idea to go after. Call Sue Donkey Kong Sue, whatever he called him, because today they tried to ask Sue about his reaction to it, and he said he didn't say anything. He put on his headphones and just walked out and didn't even talk to the media, and so that's dangerous. When he says nothing, that's
why when
he's gonna let his play do the talking.
I think the most dominant defensive tackle in the NFL. Why would you go ahead and poke the bear? Let's go with our predictions for this week. What's going to happen, Darrin, and why? Will they go on the road, and will they beat Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers?
It's going to be a close game, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this Jim Caldwell team plays on the road. and it's going to be interesting to see how well the Lions offense really stacks up against a good defense in Carolina. And I know Carolina has one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. So this is going to be a real test for not only for Coach Caldwell, but also Matthew Stafford and Megatron and the rest of the offense. But if they can get out to an early lead and not, shoot themselves in the foot with dumb penalties like pass interference and illegal man downfield, something simple, and just keep playing a clean game, then they have a chance to win this game. Plain and simple.
I think the Detroit Lions have the option of Golden Tate on the other side of Calvin Johnson. Yes. That opens up the field big time. I think they have a running attack. I don't think the running game is as bad as it looked in week 1. I don't think their defense is as good as it was in week 1 against the Giants because of the home crowd and because the Giants, as we touched on, their offense is putrid. So I think they go in. They make a run at Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to win. I really do think they're going to win because I don't know how healthy Cam Newton is and if his ribs are. You called out Ndamukong Suh and you got sore ribs. I don't see it going well
for trouble
you.
Right there.
For
that's
sure.
Just asking for trouble.
Yeah. So Ezell Cox, a great listener for the Two Man Advantage podcast, chimed in on our YouTube page about our Detroit Lions season predictions.
Great.
If you want to go ahead, or do you got it there, or you want me to go ahead and let
everybody
know?
Ahead.
Okay, so for all that talk about the Lions defense, they actually had the best defense in the division last year. Every time I hear about the Lions season predictions, it's all about the secondary, when actuality, the defense played better in the second half of the season than it did in the first half last year. It was the offense that let Detroit down last year with Matthew Stafford throwing the interceptions. Burleson was a loss. Broyles was lost. Calvin Johnson was lost for some meaningful games. And Chris Durham was your best bet. It also goes on to say that you think so 9-7 at worst, 11-5 at the best, and says that Detroit has the best D-line in the division. So we went on to comment back to Ezell Cox. If you're listening out there, we'll put this on YouTube and everything. Feel free to chime in, and anybody else that listens to our podcast on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or our webpage.
Or our website.
Yeah, 2minuteadvantagepodcast.com or 2omapodcast.com. So we responded back to him saying, asking Slay, Mathis, and Bentley to cover wide receivers in NFC North. Great comment, though. Thanks for the feedback, Ezell, and keep listening. Enjoy the 2014 NFL season. So he also got back to us and said, same old response. So, Darrin, let's stop right there. Do you think that's the same old response, or do you really think that there is an issue with the defensive backs? Let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
And thanks again for the feedback. And we'll hopefully get more feedback from
Ezell, you sound like
a very knowledgeable fan.
We
appreciate
fan, and a fan who have seen this same old Lions story time after time.
From what I see, Ezell, I'm going to give you a little forward down the field because apparently you're a big Lions fan. So keep drinking that Honolulu Blue and Silver in black accent Kool-Aid, okay?
No, but like he said, do we always harp on the defensive backs? Yes, because it's true. And you could make a case that Stafford last year made a lot of poor decisions, and he did. But, that wasn't the only factor. The defensive backs were bad. And
big plays, chunk plays.
Big plays that really
Jordy
burn.
Nelson, Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, Martellus Bennett. We could go on. Randall Cobb. There's plenty of guys that we need to cover in this
There are
division.
plenty of good receivers in our division that we play week in, week out.
Rashean Mathis is in his mid-30s.
Yeah. He's a good teacher, but he's not one to lead that secondary.
I think he's solid.
Yeah, but
you're asking Darius Slay to do a lot in his second year, being a second-round pick.
Right.
Even though he had the fastest 40 in the NFL draft or the combine last year, is he going to be able to cover Randall Cobb in a 3rd and 25 situation or a 3rd and 10 situation in the third quarter?
He'll probably have a chance, but
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain this to my homeboy Ezell out there. Is that, listen, I agree with most everything that you said. It's just in the crucial situation. Mm-hmm. Do you want Darius Slay on Alshon Jeffrey when it's in Chicago in Week 16.
Or Brandon Marshall.
Brandon,
like you
or
said.
I'm just
throwing out a name. I understand
that was where our concerns were and our predictions, and I think it still lies there now.
Yeah.
So
no, well, you got to understand, like, yeah, you have Brandon Marshall, who's a veteran of this league and who has, been there, and so is Alshon Jeffrey. Obviously, he's a lot newer, but Darius Slay is still learning the game. He's only
he does look a lot better.
He does look a lot better, but like when it's coming to like penalties and holding on to players and knowing when to release and when to just go with your instinct, that's something that he has to learn from veterans like Rasheed Mathis. Or Champ Bailey if they ever do sign him.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think it's going to happen. Well, but one thing I'm going to say, and I'll throw it to Nick, is that when you know that the defensive backs need help, and you have a top 10 NFL draft pick, and there's plenty of good wide defensive backs out there, go and take care of that, because that is a need year after year after year. But now they got Eric Ebron, who dropped a pass in the end zone, but let's not talk about that. And but it's something like that you really need to focus on. So hopefully, and other teams know this too, if you want to beat the Lions defense, just throw it into their secondary, because they're in shambles most of the times.
The run defense looks great. So, again, the question marks will be, can they stop the pass? I think they have a better opportunity this year. So, stick with us right back with some Michigan State Spartans.